The icy wind howled through the streets as snowflakes danced under the glow of the streetlights. It was a bitterly cold winter morning, and most people hurried to their destinations with their heads down and their hands buried deep in their pockets. Mike ran as fast as he could. His breath formed white clouds in the freezing air while his shoes slipped on the snow-covered sidewalk. "Please don't leave yet," he muttered desperately. At the end of the street, he could see the bus stop. And there it was, the bus. For a moment, hope filled his heart. He waved his arms and ran even faster. Wait, wait. But just as he reached the stop, the doors closed, the driver pulled away. The bus slowly moved forward and disappeared down the road. Mike stopped and stared after it in disbelief. Then frustration exploded inside him. "No, are you kidding me?" He kicked a pile of snow. "I was only a few seconds late." The anger grew stronger with every passing moment. Mike depended on that bus to get to work every day. Now he would be late, and his boss hated excuses. "Why does this always happen to me?" he complained. The freezing wind continued to blow against his face. The temperature seemed to drop even lower. As minutes passed, Mike became colder and angrier. He paced back and forth at the bus stop. He complained about oversleeping. He complained about the bus driver. He complained about the weather. And eventually, he even complained about God. "If you really cared about me, you wouldn't let this happen," he muttered. 30 long minutes passed. By now, Mike's fingers were numb and he could barely feel his feet. Finally, another bus appeared. The doors opened and Mike climbed aboard, still irritated. As the bus traveled along the icy road, he sat by the window with crossed arms. Outside, the landscape was covered in snow. Trees stood frozen beneath a gray sky. Then suddenly, the bus began to slow down. A few moments later, it stopped completely. The passengers exchanged confused looks. "What happened?" someone asked. Mike stood up and looked through the windshield. His stomach tightened. The road ahead was filled with flashing lights, police cars, fire trucks, ambulances. Emergency workers moved hurriedly through the snow. Something terrible had happened. The passengers fell silent. Several minutes later, the driver returned from speaking with one of the officers. His face had turned pale. He swallowed hard before speaking. "Accident involved the bus that passed through here about 30 minutes ago." A heavy silence filled the vehicle. Mike suddenly felt a chill that had nothing to do with the weather. The driver continued quietly. "Authorities say the bus hit a patch of black ice. The driver lost control. The bus slid off the road and crashed into a tree at high speed." Nobody said a word. The driver lowered his eyes. "There were no survivors." Gasps echoed through the bus. Some people covered their mouths in shock. Others looked away, unable to process what they had just heard. Mike felt frozen. The bus he had missed. The bus he had desperately tried to catch. The bus he had been angry about missing. That was the bus. Goosebumps covered his entire body. His heart pounded in his chest. Images flooded his mind. What if he had arrived 30 seconds earlier? What if the driver had waited? What if he had boarded that bus? He imagined himself sitting among those passengers. He imagined the crash, the fear, the impact. And suddenly his complaints seemed incredibly small. His anger vanished. In its place came gratitude. Tears filled his eyes. For the first time that morning, Mike understood something powerful. The event he had considered terrible had actually saved his life. The delay he had hated had become his protection. The inconvenience he had complained about had turned into a blessing. Quietly, he bowed his head. "God, forgive me," he whispered. "I thought everything was going wrong." A tear rolled down his cheek. "But you were protecting me." Again and again, he thanked God. He thanked him for the missed bus. He thanked him for the delay. He thanked him for the extra 30 minutes standing in the cold. Because those 30 minutes had given him something priceless. His life. That day changed Mike forever. Whenever things didn't go according to plan, he remembered that winter morning. Whenever a door closed, he stopped assuming it was bad. Whenever life delayed him, he became more patient. He learned that sometimes we see only a small piece of the picture, while God sees the whole road ahead. Sometimes the opportunity we miss protects us from danger. Sometimes the delay that frustrates us becomes the very thing that saves us. And sometimes what appears to be a setback is actually an act of mercy. From that day forward, Mike carried one lesson in his heart. Never complain too quickly when life doesn't go your way. You may not understand the reason today, But one day you might look back and realize that what felt like a problem was actually protection. Moral of the story: everything happens for a reason. Trust God's timing, even when you don't understand it. What seems like a disappointment today may be protecting you from something you cannot yet see. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more inspiring stories. And share your experience in the comments. Have you ever gone through something that seemed bad at first, but later realized it happened for a good reason?